Welcome back, Sports to the Max. I've been thinking a lot about this guy lately, praying for him as well. Mark Porter. I got to know, we had him on last week, and I got to know him when he was here and in Minnesota, and he's moved on and took a job as a superintendent of the Florida Keys, and that means about 100 miles and a whole bunch of schools. And so he has literally been in the eye of the storm while moving from the Keys last week and closing schools and all those things. Now he's faced with the unenviable task of assessing damage in one way, shape, or form, and he joins us now. Mark, first of all, how are you doing?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing great. I'm still safely evacuated here in St. Augustine, although this storm was of such magnitude that basically the entire state of Florida has been impacted. And I'm fortunate to be staying at a beautiful home here, but without power at this time.
Really?
And in close communication with everybody back in the Keys.
What do we know about the Keys right now?
Well, what we know is a couple of things. The Keys are really in three regions, lower, middle, and upper Keys. And I'll kind of start at Key West, the area I live in. Probably not damaged as badly as was expected, but having significant infrastructure problems with water and electricity. Middle Keys, Marathon area, impacted very significantly by the storm, but already, working toward recovery. And to be honest, the Upper Keys portion less impacted, and I think the recovery effort there is going very well. It's been amazing to watch all the resources come together. As I'm kind of working from afar right now, but I'm kind of working my way back there in the next day or so. But their first priority was to get the roads reestablished. And the biggest and most fortunate thing is the bridge inspections have gone well. There are 42 bridges in Monroe County. And the last count, the Florida Department of Transportation had okayed visually all but the last 9, and they were just waiting for their final report. So that means the emergency vehicles, the electricity trucks, the cranes and all that can move through the Keys and begin doing the work needed to restore the infrastructure.
So reports of any bridge being damaged, at least to your knowledge, not accurate in terms of, there's 9 bridges left to inspect, obviously, but there's no reason to believe right now that any are down.
That's absolutely correct, I think, and that's been one of the biggest problems is managing correct and accurate information. I'm part of the emergency management calls about 3 to 4 times per day. And so far, we have had no confirmed reports of damage to bridges in the Florida Keys. Again, this is visual inspection. There may still be some things, that need to be evaluated in terms of their real, integrity for a full load, so to speak. But right now, the emergency vehicles can make their way down the Keys, as can the restoration of electricity and water.
So take me, what was it like the last couple of days as you watched this thing, and then you watched it take a turn to the west when they thought it would probably go east? From where you stood, what kind of communication did you have, and what was that like?
Well, it's been very challenging. As you know, when we talked before, my initial escape route was over to Cape Coral, which is in the Fort Myers area. And then the storm took a shift and moved to the west, and I had to kind of move a second time over to St. Augustine on the other side of the state. But I think the most difficult and challenging thing for me has been the lack of communication with some of my people in both Key West and the Marathon area. And today was really a significant day for me. I spoke directly with one of my principals in Key West who had stayed actually with her family, sheltering in one of our school buildings, and she gave me a very positive report. First and foremost, and most importantly, she, her family, and all the other school personnel were safe and doing well. And secondly, our schools were only minimally damaged, and that was extremely good as well. And also, the storm surge wasn't as bad as expected. That's really the biggest problem sometimes. People don't understand that hurricanes are a combination of wind destruction, but even more significant sometimes can be water destruction as the ocean really kind of pours over the land. And in this case, it was very minimal, and so I think we're going to come back to something pretty decent, but still a lot of, like I said, water and electricity are the big challenges right now.
Do you know about your own home?
Do not, Mike. I don't. And I think you have to really put things in the proper perspective. The first and foremost priority is safety, life and safety. And so today I was able to confirm that my people were safe and sound there, and I had a good report out of Marathon in terms of life and safety issues as well. Now, the second issue is we need to get the infrastructure back in order. And so I'll be re-entering the Keys as soon as that electricity and the water are back online. But, at a time like this, it really helps you maybe put the right perspective on things. you can replace your property if need be, but you can't replace the life of those that you work with, or those that you care about. So right now, I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that all the people that I'm working with in Monroe County are doing pretty well.
Yeah, isn't that funny? It's all perspective, isn't it? And your expectations get set one way, and all of a sudden today you go, okay, it might not be easy, but we can deal with this.
It is. It really is. And I think we grow through these things. I'm a big believer in what the Bible has to say in James 1:2 says you're supposed to find pure joy in your trials. I'm struggling with the pure joy part, but I got to tell you, I can see where I'm going to be a better person on the other side of this thing, and we're just going to work together with the people I work with in the Monroe County schools, and I'm confident that we will restore the school system and we'll get our kids back in the classroom as soon as we can.
You know what I hear, Marcus? I hear that athlete in you coming through, that competitor, that we're down but we're not out, and we will prevail and win. It's almost that background your dad raised you with.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. There's a part of this thing that sometimes gets your adrenaline going, Mike. I've got a huge leadership challenge ahead of me. But to be honest, I'm kind of ready to go. You kind of got my game face on. I'm ready to get at it because I work with a lot of good people, and I think together we can get the job done. I just want to get back in there and get to work because my most important thing is after I'm assured that the people are safe, my next highest priority is getting our kids back in school. We serve some great kids, some great families, and I want them to be back in their schools, back in their communities, trying to restore their lives to as normal as we can. And in
that, it is an opportunity, isn't it? Because they're never going to forget this year. If it's their senior year, or junior, or whatever, they're always going to remember this hurricane. And there's a place there that you can really, from an educational standpoint, take advantage of and use to teach.
I think you're absolutely right. I think one of the things today that maybe we don't do enough with young people is allow them to fail or experience failure or challenges, that kind of thing. And everybody's got to win. Everybody's got to get a trophy. Well, I tell you, we've got some young people here in Monroe County that are going to go through a very challenging circumstance. It's not going to be over quickly, but I truly believe, they and we will be better for it.
Mark, so tomorrow, you're St. Augustine, that's up there quite a ways. Do you start making the journey, the trek, or how do you go about that? Do you know you have enough gas and all those essentials to get back?
Well, I do have a big vehicle with about a 500-mile range, Mike, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to slip a personal note in. I got two little grandkids listening to me up there in Minnesota, and I bought a big vehicle for when Addie and Liesl and their little brother Hawken were down here to spend time with us. So I got a Tahoe that'll get me a long ways. But you're right, gas is going to be a problem because there was a problem getting out, and it's going to be a problem getting back as we have kind of a mass reentry here in the near future. Right now, you can't get past a checkpoint into Monroe County. It's one of the advantages we have. There's only one road in, and you got to have the right credentials, the right authority in order to be able to reenter. I do have that. So as soon as I think there's enough infrastructure there for me to be there and for make sense for me to be there, I'll be heading back that way probably sometime tomorrow. I'll try to work my way back. Try to hook up somewhere with some people in Homestead so as soon as I think things are good enough, I can enter Monroe County and get back to work.
So when you finally get with the people and you have a chance to collect either your faculty or the students, whoever it is, what will your message be? How will you try to build from this? I'm sure you've thought about this a little bit. At some point in time, you're going to have that audience in front of you.
It really is, Mike. It's going to be an opportunity. I'm already doing it basically to be emails and so forth. I send a daily message out to every employee in the Monroe County schools, offering them encouragement, keeping them informed on what's going on. And I get a lot of positive feedback from people because they weren't getting any information. That's been the hardest thing. It's been this kind of communications black hole, for so many of us because there is no cell service in Key West. There's no cell service throughout about 2/3 of the Keys right now. So a lot of people aren't getting information. So I'm giving it to them. I'm letting them know that we're gearing up. We're getting ready to go. I always joke with people, Mike, human behavior doesn't change that much between youth and adults. And so the same kind of things you do to rally kids to put forth their best effort on the field or on the court aren't that different than the messages you try to send to adults to get them to put forth their best effort through a difficult situation.
So in some respects, might you be better served not being back there for a while until you know that service and whatnot has been restored because you can almost be more effective electronically from where you are?
Yeah, you were always a pretty bright guy, Mike. You're absolutely right. Staying connected electronically is probably more important than me physically being there. As a matter of fact, once I get there, I'm probably one of the most useless people in the district to be there because I'm not a particularly handy, individual as far as all of this goes. But staying connected, that's what I mean by once the infrastructure is there for me, and I think it will be there in the Upper Keys within a matter of days, then I think it makes sense for me to be there symbolically to demonstrate that, yeah, we're coming back. But until then, you're right. I need to stay connected is more important than being physically present.
Are the people, is there a spirit of the Keys that's unique, or how would you describe it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, unique is definitely the way to describe the Keys, but in many, many ways. When it comes to challenges like this, that uniqueness becomes a very positive trait. Some of these people have been through challenges like this before. I don't think any of them have been through challenges quite as significant as this one. The magnitude of this storm was really something unusual and something very challenging. But I'll tell you what, they don't give up. They'll be back, and they're committed to doing what they can for their community and for their kids. And I'm looking forward to getting back there with them.
I can just hear it in your voice. It's time now to rebuild, right?
Absolutely. Like I said, from a leadership perspective, you don't go out looking for these kind of challenges, but when they come, you kind of embrace them and you move forward and do the absolute best you can. And like I said, I like the people I work with. I got a lot of confidence in them, and I'm just anxious for us to get back to work. Mark,
appreciate it very much. Could you stay on the line? I just want to ask a quick question during the commercial break.
Absolutely, Mike.
Mark Porter, Superintendent of Schools in Key West. How you want that as your challenging job of the year? And he hails from right here in Minnesota. His father, longtime football coach at St. Olaf. Mark, heavily involved in athletics as well throughout his life.